What's up? What's up? It's us again, Rico and Cody, and this is Reflection Comics presents Comic Talk for, I want to say, the second episode. Obviously, we're doing a good rundown on the Daredevil series, but I promise you, we will also collaborate comic books into the continuity of this episode and how it compares to the ongoing Disney Plus series, Daredevil Born Again. And I'm letting you guys know right now, this topic is going to be a little spicy because we don't quite see eye to eye on what's going on with the show, the characters in the show, or the writing. I'm 100% loving it, but this guy, on the other hand, I think it's a little flimsy. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. So, did you see episode 5 and 6?
4, 5, and 6. So last time we talked about 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
I do have a bit of a surprise for you, though. We haven't talked about episodes 5 and 6.
Uh-huh.
I liked one of them.
Oh, I bet you did.
But I don't think you're gonna. I don't think you're gonna predict which one I liked.
Oh, you like 6?
No.
You honestly like the basically the bank heist?
I did.
What was your favorite part about the bank heist?
Well, do you want to?
100% spoilers right now.
Do you want to go back for it? Do you want to do it in order 4, 5, 6, or do you?
Yeah. Let's do 4. Let's briefly hit 4, and then keep up to what's relevant right now. All right.
So episode 4.
Yeah.
We have the aftermath of Hector's death, a little bit of an investigation on Matt's part.
Mm-hmm.
And we get the moment that everybody's talking about with Matt and the Punisher. What did you think about that?
Matt and the Punisher, their conversation?
Yeah.
Well, Matt Murdock is exactly where he should be. The Punisher, though, I feel like we kind of briefly scratched the surface on this. I like his attitude, but he looked very out of place. Like he looked like he got comfortable in isolation, so he allowed to put his guard down. And what I meant by that was his appearance. Like he's very military, so you know that's a lifestyle. That's not just for show or for when you're around people. That's your mentality from the moment you wake. You sleep it. You are it. You know, and I feel like he was very lax about it. But you did see, if you really looked in the background, he wasn't done doing his conquest, his I don't know what you want to call it, his revenge story on the world. And I feel like everybody had something to do with killing the Punisher's parents. Like, there's always someone else.
That's part of the problem with this show. To jump into it, I don't like the way that he's characterized in this show.
Yeah.
I don't like the way... I like the Punisher in Season 2 of Daredevil.
Okay.
Now, you and I have talked about this a little bit, but we also talked about it in the first episode as well. Some of my gripes with John Bernthal as the Punisher. I like him as an actor. I think he could play the character. I don't think that they are writing the character of the Punisher for him to play. Part of the problem with that is that his whole story is not all about his family's murder. That's a major misconception for the character. In the comics, Frank killed everybody, even remotely related to his family's death, within his first 2 weeks as Punisher. And so this show keeps going back to the well of like, yeah, that person was helping responsible for your family's death. Go get him. It's just everything traces back to that.
I don't know, man. I wouldn't want to live in the world of Marvel Comics. Like,
No.
like if you wear a wrong shirt, what you doing with my family? Nothing, man. I wasn't even born yet. How old are you? How can you making so many different questions? But I finally we did get the Punisher, and I felt as though we got a very good essence of the Netflix version of the Punisher. Just almost a washed up, tired version of him, though. Which, you know, one thing that we kind of did not come eye to eye with is, you know, you gotta have in comic book panels, you gotta have those. You gotta fill in those white spaces in between the comic book panels when you try to put a comic book character or a comic book themed show. Who are they outside of those panels? They're human beings. So I'm not trying to say they're trying to make them relatable to us, but they have to be humanized. If not, they're just going to be, oh, and then panel, ah, and then the next panel, the next panel. You know, and it's like, okay, we know the Punisher can do that, but who is Frank Castle as a person outside of, you know, when he's down on his luck, or when he's not killing, or when he's not having some renegade conquest? Who is he? I guess in a conversation, how would he talk to the people around him? You gotta have dialogue in a show. You have to. It's not a silent film, you know.
I get what you're saying, and I think you hit the nail on the head for where a lot of people get the character wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Frank is barely human. Frank barely speaks sentences. He's not going to talk to somebody that he's going to kill. He's only going to talk to people that he really needs something from, or he's got to interact with. Most of his conversations in the comics are with Microchip, in terms of being longer than, you know, just single words.
Yeah. So that means what you're saying is that Frank Castle and that Murdoch conversation was justified. Because they have developed a relationship. I feel like the type of person that Matt Murdock is, he would gain more respect for you after seeing how you are in battle. How you stand up to him.
Part of what the Netflix show did really good was butting heads between those two. They very much have a difference in fundamental ideology.
Yeah.
And it is, when it comes down to it, now that line has been blurred a little bit. Matt is, with his conduct in episode 1, and now in episode 6, we're going to talk about that a little bit when we get to episode 6. He's fighting dirty. He's fighting dark.
Matt Murdock?
He tries to hang
Oh, yeah, he does.
He tries to hang him. So they're kind of blurring the lines a little bit on being different.
Yeah. Let's jump into 5 real quick. Let's just get it over with. Oh, my goodness. So, well, first of all, we get a little crossover. We get Kamala Khan's father, which I thought was really good. I'm not saying the Miss Marvel show or the Miss Marvel's movie was epically awesome, but it's cool to show that this is one world, and everyone is kind of wishy-washy inside of it, and they have a life within it. It's cool that we see that, you know, that kind of interaction. Maybe I just literally said it, but it brings it in a whole, you know, and it shows that Matt Murdock is a part of the MCU when it comes to mainstream, because he was in Spider-Man, but it also shows that he's a part of the, what do they call it now? Marvel TV universe. Yeah. So I feel as though they're using, no, not really, because Kamala Khan was already in the MCU movie. So maybe it is forgettable. Sorry, guys.
It's unfortunate.
Am I wrong, though? It is.
When we talked about that last episode, it was very unfortunate for that young lady. She seems to really have a heart for it, but it just it did not take. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing her. I think maybe because she joined the MCU young. And like Tom Holland, he did as well, but there was a sense of Spider-Man. And Spider-Man is supposed to be that nerd kid, but very poised and not a loner, but forced into being a loner, you know. And Kamala Khan, you know, actually thinking about it, no, she did play that character just right. Because Kamala Khan is that fangirl. She is very upfront and in your face and over the top and maybe too much sometimes. So yeah, I take that back. I retract my statement, Kamala Khan. You keep doing you, and no, Feige's Earth is not 1999. It's 616.
No, it is not.
Don't.
Oh my goodness.
It is. We're not
going to replace the comic book continuity with this.
Oh.
You can say it's an adaptation of the 616. Then they did a bad job.
It's a bad job.
You don't want to compare it to that standard because it's not going to meet up.
Okay.
I gotta call it like I see it.
Okay, fine. But I'm not calling it 1999. Especially in the Multiverse of Madness, they call it 616.
And that was a mistake. And it like
Feige, hold on, Feige made a mistake.
Yeah, well, that wasn't Feige that wrote that.
That
was Michael Waldron.
But he knew it was in the movie before it was aired.
Then he chose to approve it, so then, yeah, I guess he gets some of the blame.
And then it's not a
But
mistake.
Mysterio also
right.
referred to it as Earth 616 when he was lying to Spider-Man. So you mean to tell me of all the numbers, he just picked the right one just on a whim? Like, we know that it was a reference to that's the comic book universe.
Yeah.
But if you say that this is the comic universe or this is an adaptation of the comic universe,
well, true.
you're doing a bad job.
I would honestly, okay, fine. I would admit to that because if it was 616, we would get Hawkeye with the big Batman-like ears.
Give it to me. I want it.
All the costumes would be comic book accurate. So okay. So then, would you say Deadpool Wolverine? Would you say that version of Logan is from 616? As comic book accurate suit up. That means
just
in
a comic
616
book accurate suit doesn't make it. That doesn't mean that it was the comic continuity. Because in that same universe, you also have all the other X-Men died because he was gone.
Yeah.
So,
but wait, if you think about it, he did go to Japan.
Yeah, and they did that in the Wolverine as well. It's just one of those things, like, you can... That's the problem with an infinite multiverse. If you looked at them,
I bet
the vast majority of them are going to be exactly the same.
I bet you Wolverine, when he goes to Japan, that's the last modern X-Men movie. And you don't get X-Men anymore. You go back into the past. And then they jump into Days of Future Past. But which got altered because of the past. So it would be Wolverine came home from Japan to find out his whole X family is gone. But then again, he does get the brown and black suit. So which version of that
the X-Men timeline is a mess.
Multiverses, right?
No,
so
but
back
that
to...
was before, sorry.
Yeah?
It was before the multiverse. The Fox timeline is just a mess.
Yeah, it's all muddled.
But I do like James Mangold's The Wolverine, where he goes to Japan.
That was cool, right? I watched it the other day. But yes, the bank heist on St. Patrick's Day. Matt Murdock. I never put two and two together. He's Irish. And that explains a lot. Like, that explains a whole lot, man. Oh, my goodness. And then he hit us with an Irish accent. Can you imagine if Daredevil actually had an Irish accent? Can you imagine how much scarier he would be? Like, when he's beating the crap out of you and trying to interrogate you in an Irish accent?
It wouldn't be scary, it would be funny. But actually, now that I'm picturing it...
very intimidating.
If you picture, like, the Daredevil yellow, like the Stan Lee, where he's a rapscallion, you know? He's jumping around, doing parkour off of buildings. He's going to hit you in the face and then say, get used to my name, you're going to be hearing it again.
Oh, have you seen the Boondock Saints?
No, but I know about it.
You need to see the... Wow, folks. You need to see the Boondock Saints. And then you'll go, oh... Yeah, I don't want that type of Daredevil. I take it all back. That is scary.
I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna do the early comics where he's just, you know, he's joking around, he's kind of like Nightwing, just a very immature almost. You can tell he's having fun with beating you up. If you were gonna do that, then you could have the Irish accent.
But that's scary, man. Like, I've noticed that lately in Daredevil, the show. He is, when he's really mad and when you know he's really about to hurt you, he gives that smirk. And then next thing you know, your arms are about to come off. You know? Or your knee. Oh, we'll get to the knee. Oh my goodness. I watched it like 3 times and cringed every time.
I cringed at the CGI.
Yeah, what?
Look, I get it's a gruesome moment, right? He jumps, smashes the guy's knee. Like, we're all over the place. We're going to have to come back.
Yeah.
It
was just a great episode.
He smashes the guy's knee, but it looks so rubbery. He jumps and then immediately comes back down. And they have the same problem in the first episode as well when Matt does his billy hook and he lands on the catwalk on the fire exit. It was very He hits the wall and then drops like immediately. Like gravity is not normal. It's simulated CGI gravity.
Well, one, I don't think that the knee stomp, I don't think it was CGI. I think it was a practical effect, and they just used some kind of very easy breakaway device, maybe like a 2x4 or something like that. And I'm assuming they probably did, put a green sleeve around the guy's leg, but that doesn't show up on camera. So they were able to replace it with whatever contraption. I don't know. That's one of the things we would never know unless they had it behind the scenes.
And they probably will. They've been pretty good about doing that for the shows. They do Making Marvel. There's a Disney Plus documentary that they have where they go into each of the movies and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, I feel like we're doing this whole episode backwards because now after the knee, I want to talk about the bottle of Jameson.
Well, if I can jump back.
Yeah.
So, this was the episode that I liked. This is the one that I liked the most out of the entire show so
I
far.
really want to hear this. He rarely likes anything. I really want to hear this. I really want to hear this.
There's not a lot to like nowadays when it comes to new stuff, man. It's unfortunate. I wish it wasn't that way. But Matt Murdock felt like a person again. That was one of the... One of the problems that I've had with this show up to this point is he feels like he's being dragged around unwillingly by the plot. And we're going to get to episode 6. There are 2 very jarring moments of characters coming in, and it's like, "Hi, Matt, I'm here to move the plot forward." Of course they don't say that, but it's so blatantly like, I need to give you motivation so that you can finally get Daredevil in this Daredevil show. But with episode 5, like, he's talking to people. He feels like a genuine person. Yusuf feels like a genuine person. These feel like a lived-in world. You know, these are unfortunate people. They want to go on about their day. And then the bank robbery happens, and they're stuck here.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I do understand that. I feel like leading up to 5, Matt Murdock he's all about retirement. He's like, I'm good. I don't want to do this anymore. There's enough vigilantes in the street of New York right now to where I don't have to do this. I wish they also talked more about other vigilantes in the street. Like, if he is now in a part of the MCU, how about we talk about what happened in New York City before the snap? You know? Like, obviously every Avenger lives in New York just about. Or in some kind of Washington, D.C. area. Why don't we can name drop. We don't have to show them. But he has to have more of a reason to retire than I almost took a man's life. There's a sense of security that he has to go through. They're like, all right, this city is okay without me. And I feel like they just didn't touch that enough. And now White Tiger's done. So who else? He is you now. You're the only low level, or not low level, but low level, ground level hero. I don't want to call him low, but ground level hero.
And if I may, that ties back into part of my issue with episode 4, which is when Matt takes the bullet casing back to Frank.
Yeah.
How does he know where he lives? And I make a point. It is a plot hole, but it's a plot hole with a point. And so the question is, obviously, how does he know where he lives?
He smells them. He can smell them. Didn't you see that guy living like a hermit?
But my point, he just stinks that bad.
Smells like death that way. That's death and gunpowder. That's where he lives.
Death and baked beans.
And baked beans.
And so, my point is, Matt disagrees fundamentally with the Punisher, his methods, like what he does, how he does it. He also, if he knows where he lives, and he is now against being a vigilante to the point where he outs Hector as the White Tiger so that he will stop being the White Tiger, why would he not give Frank over to the police? That's just one of those things where this is kind of the character that you've made me believe that he could be. He doesn't have, you could maybe say that they're a bit closer after the Tombstone incident. When I say the Tombstone incident, the end of that episode in Daredevil season 2, where where Frank tells Matt about his kids when he's resting on the tombstone waiting for the cops to come get him. You could maybe say that, but that does not seem like the character that we have with this. So I don't know. we're going to get more into the characterization of Matt in episode 6.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk a little bit about that when it comes to him finally putting back on the suit again. But for episode 5, he felt like a person again, and that was refreshing for me.
What was your best part of episode 5? So we can go and get to episode 5 and then move on to 6. What was your best part?
My best moment in episode 5.
Yeah.
It's a little moment.
Mine's too.
But it is when Matt Matt makes a case to the people holding the hostage, doing the heist, to let the husband and wife couple go, and that he will stay in their place. That is, to me, that is part of the character of Matt, from his religious background, from who he is as a person. Even though he is, I mean, there's part of it where if he was inside, you know, he's in the bank, he knows that he can help play a part in, you know, unraveling their heist.
Yeah.
But also, you could tell that it came from a place of genuine moral goodness. He's like, you know, let these people go, live their life, let them, you know, don't harm them.
Yeah.
It was a moment of self-sacrifice as well as opportunity.
Okay. My favorite part of episode 5 was him and the Red Hood, in the stairwell. When he had to keep quiet, he was fighting this guy, he was able to fight him and then catch the shotgun. But at the same time, those little subtleties I look for. He told the guy to be quiet as he was choking him out. He was like, shh, as he was choking him. That is absolute that's creepy. I would not, like, shh, go to sleep. It'll be over soon. I don't want that ever. I don't want, especially for a blind man to do that to me. It's just super creepy. And I feel as though this is the version, we're not getting a Netflix version of Daredevil. We're getting this Daredevil. And in ways, I can understand how we could miss that version of Daredevil. But at the same time, I do respect that Disney is now understanding they have to step it up. And people are going to be looking for Daredevil Netflix. And they're like, all right, well, let's just make him violent. And when it comes down to him fighting, he's very personal. I feel like, I feel as though the people in oh my goodness, in the house with the refrigerator, I feel like those two people could have died. The cops in the apartment. I feel like they should have died. The way he hit the ground, neck first, he should have died. That poor refrigerator, it should have died. and then the way he breaks bones off of you, like in the Netflix series, he was just beating you up, and then he might throw you off a building, but he knew that there was a trash can down there. Or he'll hold you and hit the glass. Remember that? Yeah. But he'll threaten you. This time around, very little talking and just real violent. And it's reminded me, like, would you rather get beat up by Batman or Daredevil? At least Batman will call the police when he's done beating you up to come pick you up and get you to the hospital. He just leaves you where you're at.
Daredevil's going to break your bones and hang you.
And then that's a good segue to episode 6.
No, I do have to back up, though.
Yeah, really?
When it comes to the violence and stuff like that, I don't think that the appropriate response to, we need to emulate, right? You're going to make a new Daredevil show.
Yeah.
You're going to have to live up to Daredevil Netflix.
Which is almost impossible.
Just making it more violent doesn't do it.
Well, we are getting story, and I was really, really against the dude, why are we getting all this story, all these plots, what is this going on? How does this make sense? Why are we watching a law show? Oh man, this reminds me of She-Hulk, Attorney of Law.
Wow, that bad?
It was.
I don't like the show, but I'm not saying it's that bad. Oh, goodness.
No, I'm not saying it was that bad.
Okay.
It's just, no comparison to that bad. But it was like, when I watched She-Hulk, I was like, I understand that it's expensive to have a big green lady beat the crap out of people for CGI effects and special effects, and they had to also make the clothes that she was wearing CGI as well. Because I don't know, if you go watch the show where they show you behind the scenes, it was really difficult and expensive to make her.
But they had a physical actress, by the way.
Yeah.
And they decided not to do that.
They were, maybe they should have gone. Well, would it make sense to go practical? Especially it would have looked weird standing next to the Incredible Hulk. It would have looked weird. That would have looked off. But back to Daredevil, it was nothing like that. It was nowhere near that bad. But it was like, are we just getting? I really don't want to watch a Law and Order show with superheroes, you know. And then once they started showing Frank Castle and Matt Murdock, and at least go upon their ways and who they are outside of everyday in society, that's when it started to make sense and be more well rounded. And then in episode 6, it was like, all right, now we're coming back into the world of Daredevil. And I thought that was a very, very good episode. Why not?
I hated it.
See this?
My major gripe with it is that Matt's decision to step back into the role of Daredevil.
Like, fuck it. Exact words. Fuck it.
And it comes after 2 conversations. The first one is with Hector's niece.
Which was a completely different character. Well, actress.
It was?
Yep. I feel like they time hopped. But I did some research. They had to pause because this show was made in 2023. So they had to stop production, and then they had to bring her back. And then like 6 months to a year came back. So if you go back and look at the pictures of them on the wall, or when she was in the morgue, and she was a little girl, and then when she came to Matt, she looked like she was 13 to 16 years old.
Okay.
You know, it looked like they were almost, I wouldn't say unrecognizable in the way they looked, but you can tell she aged, or at least they dressed her really down, or I don't know. That threw me off because it made me think, well, is she symbolizing that there was a time hop?
Right.
Like, has a year gone by since, we are in the mid-season. There's only 9 episodes. So is this 2 years or is this 6 months?
I get what you're saying, but, like, my point, and that is a jarring decision. Well, I understand if they have to bring her back and do reshoots and stuff, but my problem with Hector's niece is that she's such a brat. Like, I understand, right? Your uncle got killed. But stop trying to make it everyone else's problem. Mm-hmm. When I say that, like, she can't go to the police. I understand to a certain degree, right? She can't go to the police because she suspects that they are responsible. I think she's right on the money. I think that it was the cops that killed Hector, impersonating the Punisher, which I'm surprised he hasn't done anything yet. But I think that might be, well, we've only got 3 episodes left, so he's going to be doing something. But she knows she can't go to the cops, but she goes to Matt, and she pretty much says, do something about it. And then Matt says, what do you expect me to do?
Yeah.
And the show treats that like this is a biting moment. She's got Matt. She's going to convict him. He could be doing something, but he's not. That point only works if she knows that he's Daredevil.
Well, I think she knows.
Doesn't.
Well, she knows he's the only adult that she can trust.
But he's a blind guy.
Yeah, but
you're asking a blind guy to solve a serial killer. You're asking a blind guy to figure out this murder.
I don't want to sit up here and say, well, that's a kid, because she's mature, so she knows what's up, But I can only narrow it down to this guy helped my uncle. I can trust him, so I can come to him and ask him for help.
And I get what you're saying, but where I draw more issue with that is in episode 4 when she visits the morgue
Yeah.
and she has a conversation with Matt, she pretty much lays it out to him directly. I view you as being partially responsible. You out partially, if not mostly
True.
responsible. You
True.
outed him as being a vigilante. You're the one that got him killed, is essentially what she says to him.
Would you much rather that be the conversation instead of help me blame him? And because in the whole reason for that conversation is to put him back in a position to be Daredevil. So we have to acknowledge that and let that be.
It was very forced. It was very forced.
I think that's the only way we were going to get, well, at least the way they wanted to write it. We had to force Matt Murdock into being Daredevil again. So he could have did it out of guilt, or he could do it out of some sense of just trying to be helpful, or trying to, I guess, redeem himself from the loss of her father or of her uncle. But we have to put him in a position to become Daredevil again. And I think that's what they tried to use, and that's why they used her to be a victim instead of what's her name, the next White Tiger, which you needed a reason. Matt needed a good enough reason, so why not use a child that was the niece of the person that you protected just to die again. So yeah, that's what they chose to do, which is kind of, that's just what it was. Yes, there could have been so many other reasons and other ways, but it needed to go full circle, and that's exactly what happened.
It needed to come full circle. The problem that episode 6 has is that it has to provide a reason, like you were saying, for Matt to become Daredevil again.
Yeah.
But it has to be satisfying, and it has to not make issues with the previous episodes. And ultimately, you have this conversation with her, and then you have the conversation with Cherry. Cherry comes in and tells him, in the most, you can see the writer's outline, on screen, saying, all right, we need to move the plot forward. Cherry comes in and says, hey, Matt, there's a serial killer. He's got 60 victims. Don't do anything about it, though. Don't be Daredevil. Don't move the plot forward. And Matt's like, oh, shucks, I got to do something about it. I got to move the plot forward.
Well, yeah.
My point with that complaint is you need him to become Daredevil again.
Yeah.
But of all the ways to do it, my biggest concern with this, not concern, my biggest gripe, is that Matt becoming Daredevil again, it doesn't cost him anything. He didn't have to change. He didn't have to undergo any kind of change. The closest that you get to a change is he recognizes that he's upset because of Foggy's death when he has the conversation with Frank.
I think it does change a lot for Matt Murdock to be Daredevil. But I do want to also talk about Wilson Fisk turning back into Kingpin, which I thought for this episode, it was a rebirth or born again for both of them.
It was like,
but
so,
hold on, Matt Murdock has a good life as attorney of law. Matt Murdock as Daredevil is a loner. He's isolated. He would not be able to have that relationship that he really enjoys if he was Daredevil again. He would constantly have to explain why he's getting up around 2 o'clock in the morning or why he's leaving around midnight,
Well, to tie that into the comics,
yeah,
there's one of Matt's biggest flaws in the comics is because he didn't grow up with a mother figure, he goes after, Matt is a hound dog. He goes after every woman that is breathing.
Well, yeah.
He sleeps with all of them, and he just about tells every woman that he sleeps with his secret identity. And then talented writers, really, decided we need to do something about this. Matt would even tell some of the people that he slept with that were working for the other side his identity, and it never came back to bite him until Brian Michael Bendis and Malieve, I believe his name is George Malieve, the artist, decided to write a story about that.
Yeah.
And it was punishing Matt for giving out his identity so freely. And so, yeah, with this, you have Matt. He has to keep that secret.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I don't know. I feel as though I guess you could say straight up, if they made Matt Murdock a womanizer in the show, he wouldn't be likable.
No, not a womanizer, but like
he's just sleeping
with
around. He's a womanizer, you know. Or if he's just a playboy, you know, without the billionaire philanthropist, you know. Then I don't know. I don't think he's. I like the fact he has to have a struggle, and that is a struggle. Matt Murdock is a good guy that deserves happiness, but he chooses to wear that cowl and endure every night the way he endures it. And by doing that, he can't love. He can't have a long-term relationship. And if he does, obviously, like, you know, he just told Froggy, hey man, the reason why I haven't told you is because I don't want my friends and my family to get hurt, which clearly happened. Maybe it happened because of it. Maybe it happened because of something. Maybe there's a lot of maybes right now when it comes to Foggy. But he chose to retire, so he was like, all right, I can get back in the dating game, and I can have this person sleep over, or I can sleep over that person's house. I can wake up next to somebody and not explain why my nose is broken because I'm an alcoholic. Like, all on Netflix, they thought he was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
You know? And they're like, no, dude, I get the crap beat out of me because I don't have a healing factor. And it shows up the next day. But he doesn't have to endure that. But now he does. So how is he going to explain this to his girlfriend now? Because the Muse, that was a fight, man.
They did a good. I will say this.
That was a fight.
I complained. I had issues with the fight in episode 1 because
Yeah.
you covered it all in smoke. Nobody could see it. The fight with Muse was legitimately.
Yeah.
It was well choreographed. You could see it, and it felt visceral. Like, hits had impact.
Yes, he hit him so hard,
Yes.
so many times. Like, I love the fact that he was Muse was looking down the train tunnel, so the two red lights, and those two. I was hoping, as that train left, it would fade out, and you would just see a glare of two beady eyes. That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
But no, it showed Daredevil rushing to him. Running hard, and then hits him with the baton. And I was like, oh no, come on, don't Batman it. I so thought he was gonna hit him with the grappling hook, and then zip to him. But no, it didn't happen that way. Did it? No.
He did. He did. He caught him with the billy hook, and then he zipped to him and punched him.
That was so Batman-like.
But honestly, we've never seen Batman do that in live action. At least, well, have we?
Yeah, we have,
Ben
but
Affleck?
always upward.
Yeah.
Or he'll grapple something else and throw it, like a big crate. Because Ben Affleck Batman is probably the best Batman to ever walk with the cowl on. Do you bleed? But anyway.
Martha.
How do you know that name?
What?
Save Martha! Like, what? What? Oh my goodness. Awesome.
My point is
Best
saying
dialogue ever.
Zack Snyder's movies, man.
They're epic. He has such an eye for photography and cinematography.
I'm not even kidding you. Zack Snyder's best movie is Legends of the Guardians, Owls of Ga'Hoole.
What movie is that?
It's from 2010. It's a CGI movie about owls. It's legitimately better than, like,
Yeah.
Watchmen may be close in terms of cinematography.
What?
300 may be close in terms of cinematography, but in terms of,
He didn't
like...
do 300.
He did 300, yes. He did both 300 movies.
Yeah, why did I think Robert Rodriguez did 300? Michael
The guy
Rodriguez?
that did Spy Kids.
Yeah, man.
Robert Rodriguez.
He does a lot of horror films. He's good at horror, man.
Spy Kids is a horror movie.
Well, okay, that was one.
He also did some episodes of Star Wars that weren't any good either.
No, but who watches Star Wars anymore?
I know.
But the books are looking good. There's a new, well, it's not relevant.
Take us back.
Yeah.
You had brought up the point about he makes the decision to put on the cowl every night, and my point is, why is he choosing to take it up again? Why is he choosing to take up this burden? The gripe that I brought up about we've not seen any major change in his character that would make him want to put it on again. And I brought up the thing about, Frank does prod him about Foggy and Foggy's death and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But Foggy's death had no reason for him had no impact on him putting on the cowl again this episode. So my point is, yeah, we get to see Daredevil again, but it felt so hollow to me. I don't know.
Well, one, how did he find her? How did he find Muse? I wish they didn't explain that.
They did.
They did? What did I miss?
Right before she took off, she said that Hector was investigating something before he died. She thinks it might have something to do with it. The 61st train tunnel.
Yeah, I remember that. But before we wrap this up, 'cause we're getting towards the end, I do want to talk about Frank Castle. I do want to talk about how Adam. Oh, poor Adam. Poor Adam. He gave him a fighting chance. He gave him a whole axe, and he goes, here you go. When I was a kid, I fought against bigger kids than me, double my size. But here's a fighting chance, and if you make it out alive, well, you're free to go. I'm not gonna kill you. I promised Vanessa that I wasn't gonna do that, but I am going to beat the crap out of you. And it was just really cool and confident how he threw him that axe and turned all the way around and slowly strolled away. It was like, come on.
I will say.
Come on, man. Let's get this over with.
Fisk has been feeling pretty, light, diet Kingpin recently.
He realizes it.
But he came back this episode, and it felt right.
Yeah. I thought he was going to throw him through the floor. Through the ceiling.
Throw him upwards.
He did.
Yep.
He threw it. It broke the beams. I was like, oh, my goodness. How? And then he dragged him. Well, no, wait. I'm skipping ahead. Did you notice how... What up, guys? Sorry about the brief interruption. I am currently in an operating comic book shop that opens at 11. And we went a little bit longer than our podcast. But, hey, we're still here. We're still giving some information. And we picked up where at Wilson Fisk and Adam. Poor Adam. Yeah.
Getting the snot beat out of him under.
I knew it from I want to say, the first episode?
Yeah, when we did our first podcast episode, you predicted that.
He had bloody fists. I'm like, if he's not doing anything crooked, what's wrong with his hands? Is he just punching walls to get his bad guys out? No. He's punching at him. He's been like kneading, should I say, softening this guy up for who knows how long. But man, we saw Adam, he looked like he was there for a while. He's in a cage. His hair is really long now. He is not going to kill Adam because he did make that promise. But I bet you Adam wished he was dead.
Yeah.
I bet you that. And also we were talking about the symmetry between the fight between Wilson Fisk and Daredevil. It was almost they were doing almost the same exact things as they were fighting. I never ever want to lay on a table with my head hanging off and get punched. That looks horrible. That he hit him in his ear so many different times. Even Muse got it. I was like, oh, my ear. Why would you punch me in the ear? Oh man. But yeah, Daredevil, he was taking some hits. Because he felt like it. He just walked into them. The difference between episode 5 and episode 6 is you can tell in the fight scene outside of the bank, he was rusty. Mm-hmm. Which, you haven't been fighting for a year. Well, I can understand it, yeah. Because I did not expect that bank robber to be fighting Daredevil back the way he was, actually. I was a little like, yo, Daredevil's kind of getting beat up. Until he wasn't getting beat up anymore, And then we hit him up and then he falls into, the layer of Muse, which is creepy. He takes your blood and makes murals out of it.
So I had a question for you, because this was a bit of a thing that I've seen people talking about online.
Yeah?
Were you aware that Muse has powers?
What kind of powers?
Well, were you aware? Okay,
no.
That's part of the thing is this show seems to be doing a pretty poor job. Number one, Muse doesn't have one of the powers that he had in the comics, but he does have increased reaction times and strength.
Well, maybe that's why he was able to live and fight back Daredevil.
Right, so that's why. But one thing is, even though he has those powers, that doesn't explain why he is such a good fighter. He was throwing like 360 hook kicks and stuff like that. Like that's people with some training doing some stuff like that.
True, and it does help if you do have super or just regular than average human strength. It is easier to in combat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Daredevil, he doesn't really have. He doesn't have a mutation, you know? It's just his loss of one ability actually ignited multiple different senses for him to have multiple different abilities. But there's still just average human being abilities. Like, he doesn't stick to walls or fly or have laser beams. It's just all of everything that we have within us is just amplified.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes him easy when in combat. Maybe that's the same thing with Muse. You know?
And so for Muse, the power that he's missing that I alluded to from the comics, Muse is a character from the Charles Soule run of Daredevil from 2015, all new Daredevil. And Muse has a very unique power that Matt had no way to combat, and that is Muse is immune to Matt's radar sense.
So he's completely invisible to him.
Yes.
That's cool.
That added an additional layer to how Daredevil had to fight Muse in the comics. That seems to be absent in the show, considering that Matt was just beating on him to death.
Yeah.
Just about to death. Of course, he got up and ran away.
He was beat. Only reason why I think Muse did not die is because Homegirl's heart stopped.
Right?
Yeah.
Pulled him away.
Like Frank... I'm sorry, wow. Yeah, I'm almost getting these guys confused. Matt Murdock had no intentions on stopping.
He was going to hang him.
Yeah.
He got him by the billy hook cord around the neck.
Which seriously should have just cut his head off. That thin wire, that should have just decapitated him.
That would have hurt real bad.
Or at least cut him up. Which also, I don't know if you read Absolute Batman.
No.
You should read Absolute Batman. Because you'll understand what I mean by a thin cord. Absolute Batman, Black Mass almost cut Batman's head off. Up until, you ready for this? The best part about it? He turned his ears forward and head-butted Black Mass's eyeballs out. It was the epic showdown, which went into the mid-story arc of Batman, Absolute Batman, and it's on episode. It's going to be issue 7 next month. So pick it up at your local comic book shop. I don't even know how that turned into a commercial.
I don't read Absolute Brick, man.
Oh, you should. Well, it's absolutely good.
I'm good.
Absolutely. So, I guess that's the rundown between episode 4, 5, and 6 of Daredevil Born Again. I don't know why that was hard to say.
You want to give final thoughts for each episode?
Amazing. Everything I said in the past, I don't take back. But thank you for making up for it. I give it a 5 so far.
5 out of what?
Out
of 5? Out of 10?
Give it a 5 out of 5. Okay. I'll give the last 2 episodes 5 out of 5. Yeah.
Alright. Episode 4. I don't like how it portrayed the Punisher. And there was a lot of wasted time spent with Leroy, which was the prisoner that got parole. I'm going to give that one probably I'm going to say a 3 or a 4 out of 10.
Yeah.
Episode 5.
10? That's a big gap.
Yeah, I know.
Out of 10?
I know, but I mean it.
I mean it. He means it, right?
Episode 5, I genuinely enjoyed. I would call that maybe an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Honestly. I like the character stuff, like I mentioned earlier. Matt Murdock felt like a person, and the people in the world felt like people.
Mm-hmm.
And then episode 6, man, the whole episode cruxes on Matt getting back in the Daredevil suit, and I explained I didn't feel like he had enough reason to do it. For that reason, I'm going to call it a 4 out of 10 or a 5, maybe, if I'm being generous.
Yeah?
Yeah, I know it's rough. I hope they pull it back together. I really do.
Well, we'll see in the next episode, which comes out every, Sunday night?
Every Tuesday.
Tuesday night? What comes on Sunday?
9:30.
What am I watching on Sundays? I don't. There's something I'm watching on Sundays that has nothing to do with Daredevil. 1923.
Yes.
I'm
yes.
watching that on Sundays, which is a whole different subject, whole different century or era, and yeah, sorry about that. It's hard to keep up with these shows. Outside of that, yeah, I feel like Daredevil is gonna towards the leg end of the series. I'm gonna like it more. I think fans will. I think you will.
I hope.
I really hope you. I honestly really hope this guy does not dislike the season finale.
And then one of the biggest things about this is I mentioned this in our previous episode of the podcast. I want this show to be good.
Yeah,
I do. There's no benefit for me as a Daredevil fan to have a Daredevil show that I don't like. You know, I'm not just coming in here, dumping on it just for giggles, right? I genuinely want it to be good, and I'm disappointed.
I'm sorry.
And I hope
I'm sorry
it
about
gets
that.
good. I hope it gets good.
I think the best part about this is to rewatch it from episode 1 to 9. I guarantee you, because that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to binge it probably on some Thursday, and I guarantee you, knowing the fact that I can watch it all the way through, I'm going to enjoy the early episodes a lot better.
It will make the pacing better.
Yeah.
It will make the pacing better.
Yeah. Outside of that, well, I'm Rico.
Cody.
And this is Reflection Comics presents Comic Talk. And we'll see you guys, I guess, in the funny pages. Peace.